biblical issues. So, this verse does not disallow the right of making moral and spiritual judgments, but it does forbid a bitter, a hostile, and an unkind spirit which delights in finding fault with others. That should really be plain and simple as a nose on your face. But, like I said, most people don't get past verse 1. You think Matthew chapter 7 only had that one verse in it. And most people who quote that verse will judge not lest ye be judged. I guarantee you, most of them, if you asked them where that's found, they couldn't tell you. All they know, they've heard other people use it as a smoke screen, as a hiding place. And that's not what it's to be used for. It does cover in the several verses here. Jesus covers that ungodly type, that carnal, fleshly type of judgment. He does cover that. Hypocritical self-righteousness has no place in the life of a Christian. And a lot of people who judge after that manner, that's what they're doing. It's a hypocritical self-righteousness that they're applying, and it has no place in the life of a Christian. Again, it's okay to have a difference of opinion. It's okay to call out wrong where it's in line with the Bible. But again, the verse particularly applies to the area of motives. And no one of us can know the heart of another. I understand that. You understand that. You can't really know the heart of another person, and to draw conclusions as to why people do things they do. Why of the actions of people. Especially when those actions are indifferent. Sometimes they're even good actions. But you can't judge the motives of the heart. Only the Spirit of God can do that. And if we take it upon ourselves to do that, then we invite God's judgment upon our life as well. That's what Jesus is alluding to here. Look, verse 2. For with what judgment you judge, he says, you shall be judged. With what measure you meet, it shall be measured to you again. In other words, he says, it begins in verse 1. Again, off of the context of the previous chapter, of what was previously said in the previous chapter. Don't judge, don't criticize, and condemn others so that you won't be judged and criticized and condemned yourselves. Now, in verse 2, he says, for just like you are judged, and you criticize and you condemn others, you will be judged and you will be criticized and you will be condemned, and in accordance with the measure that you use to deal out to others, it's going to be dealt out again to you. Now, we are not to use ourselves as the standard of judgment. But that's what most people who fall in this kind of judgment do. They use themselves as the standard of judgment. We can't use ourselves as the standard. It's got to be God's word. It's got to be the measure of judgment. God's word has got to be the standard which we measure it by. We are not to use ourselves as the standard of judgment for, he says, with what you measure, you meet. That word meet means measure out. With what you meet, you're going to be judged. What you measure out is how you are going to receive judgment in return. So whatever motive we ascribe to others, that same motive will ultimately be ascribed to us. You ever heard, I know you've heard the old saying, it takes one to know one. As kids, we use that a lot. It takes one to know one. But whatever motive we ascribe to others, that same motive will be ascribed right back to us if we're using ourselves as the measuring rod. A double emphasis is given here in verse 2. In order to proclaim the seriousness of the words of our Lord, when we judge others, we are judging ourselves. When we judge others, we're judging ourselves. If we were to judge in eternity merely on the basis of the verbal judgments that we have rendered to others, we would all condemn ourselves. Let me say that again. If we were judged in eternity just on the basis of the verbal judgments that we have rendered to others, we all going to miss the boat. We are all going to condemn ourselves. Also, consider this as well. He says that you be not judged could refer to the ultimate judgment of God rather than simply our own judgment. He could be referring to the ultimate judgment of God, and I believe that's in the context of that as well. It's going to come back to bite us, so to speak. If we judge harshly, if we judge unscripturally, if we judge fleshly and carnally, it's going to come back to bite us.